Hello, how's it going? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here for a movie review for you guys. So for this review, I'll be reviewing 007 Quantum of Solace. This is the second movie with Daniel Craig as James Bond. This movie came out in the year 2008, and I know that a lot of people say that this is one of the weakest 007 films with Daniel Craig as Bond. While I would agree that it is a step down from the previous movie, Casino Royale, I still think the movie is pretty solid. It's kind of underrated too, if you ask me. And maybe that's because this movie is kind of significant to me because, well, this was around the time when I did start to get into the 007 franchise. Not just the movies, but the games especially. I remember I had the video game to this movie a while back, and I've always liked that game, and I've always wanted to see the movie. So yeah, this was around the time when I started to get into 007. But yeah, this movie, it's definitely not as bad as a lot of people say. Dare I say, I think the movie is pretty good. Yes, like I said, it's definitely not the best of the Daniel Craig films, but I still think it's pretty solid for what it's worth. I know that some people complain that the scenes are too fast, like the cuts in this movie are a little too fast. Yeah, especially in the beginning of the movie, you can definitely tell with the car chase scene, but I think that scene's pretty cool and kind of fun to watch. This movie definitely has a lot of notable scenes, of course, like the boat scene, which is really epic and really fun to watch, I think. You also have the theater scene as well, when James Bond basically sneaks into that theater. And basically how all that plays out, it's pretty cool, kind of intriguing. Yeah, it's an enjoyable movie, you know. I really didn't find myself that bored with it, but it's definitely not as memorable as the other Daniel Craig films. At least I would say so. But yeah, you know, it's got its moments. It does. I like the action in it for sure. But again, it's just not as memorable as the other 007 films. But for what it's worth, it's pretty good and kind of underrated. So with that said, if I were to give this movie a score, I'd probably give it maybe a 7 out of 10. I think it's a good film, but it's not a great film. You know, I don't think this movie deserves all the crap that a lot of fans give it, but again, pretty solid. Of course, Daniel Craig does a good job as James Bond, as he always does. Now, I wouldn't say that this has his best performance as James Bond, of course, but he still did a really good job in this movie as James Bond. But it's just, this movie is missing a lot of the epicness that were from movies like Casino Royale and even Skyfall, which I think Skyfall is definitely a step up from this movie. But again, 7 out of 10, still a good movie for what it is. I mean, if you're a fan of the 007 franchise, if you're a fan of James Bond, it's still worth checking out for sure. So that's my review for the movie. Let me know what you guys think. Have you seen this movie? Do you like the movie? Feel free to let me know. So on that note, thanks for watching and have a good one.